It all started many years ago when I met my wife. She was practically my life. I worked hard in the factory to give us a good life. She worked for an insurance company as a secretary and receptionist. We met after a small car accident when I went to see my agent, and she was at the reception. She is a beautiful woman, especially when she dresses up. Of course, she always takes time in the morning to get ready for work. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I asked her out, and she said yes. We went out to dinner, and that was the beginning of our romance. Later, we went to my apartment and made love. We were in our early 20s. Even though she took the pills, she got pregnant. I don't know why. Maybe they weren't strong enough, or she forgot to take them. I really don't know, but it didn't matter. I loved her, and we got married. Our daughter was born. A little over a year later, we had our second child, another girl. Of course, we fell into the family lifestyle, like most people. Our children always came first, and our love life was somewhere in the background. We still had sex, but it wasn't the same as at the beginning of our marriage. It was good, but much less emotional. I understood that work and motherhood are hard work. She didn't want to quit her job. She said that this was a kind of escape from being constantly at home with children, and of course, a second income always helped. My escape was that I started going online at night and reading stories. I thought about all the fantasies these people had, and some of them said they were based on real events. I started going online more and more. I had to read these stories. I began to imagine myself as the main character in every story I read. My fantasies started to get out of control. I realized that now. What a fool I was. These stories seemed so real. It became my fantasy. I couldn't really imagine this happening, but I had mixed feelings about it. Do not misunderstand me. I wasn't the type of coward. It was my fantasy, and it would only happen when I decided it would happen. Jamie, my wife, had no say. It was my choice. I became obsessed with my fantasies. Why did I let these stories take over my mind? I honestly can't answer this question. Don't know. The author continued to say, "This idea is a wild fantasy in my mind, but I never want to see it come to fruition. The consequences are too great, and I know I never want to see it. The consequences will drive me crazy. Why does she even need me if she can lead such a sexual lifestyle? Why does she even need me around other than to pay the bills and help raise the kids? No, this lifestyle is just not for me." I remember him asking the question, what happens after we go home? What is happening to us in real life now? Do we trust our spouses completely? Will life be normal for us now? How about when we're alone, we see people we've had sex with? Is everything still normal in our lives? Or have we turned everything upside down for a night of sex? Even more questions need to be answered. For some reason, I don't think I could handle it. Why didn't I listen to my real common sense? No answers, only questions. The consequences are too great for a night of liberation with a stranger. Some may say that I am a male chauvinist. Maybe I am, but I don't cheat on my wife because I don't want her to have sex with other men. If that makes me a chauvinist, so be it. At least I'll be a happy married chauvinist. Here's the part of the author's story that I really should have paid attention to. I believe that fantasies in our sex life can be good, but what happens after they come true? Do we stop at one fantasy, or do we begin to embody others? Do all the people we have sex with outside of marriage feel the same way we do, or are they just looking for their own pleasure? I don't know the answers to all of these questions, but I'm sure many readers have done many of the above, or at least want to try some of them. What if? What bothers me the most is the cuckold thing. I believe that it is when a woman goes out, finds a man to sleep with in front of her husband, that, in my opinion, turns him into a doormat. Here's the problem I see. What if my wife tries this? What kind of man, husband, even father, is this kind of person? Why would any woman want to be married to a spineless, cowardly man like this? It must be for the money and support. These thoughts were constantly spinning in my head. I read these damn stories in the fullest sense of the word and thought that my wife was doing the same thing. The more I read, the more I fantasized. A vicious circle that I could not or did not want to break. I started fantasizing and talking to her and trying to get answers. We had many friends with whom we joked. I, for some reason, always mentioned Bob. I think it's because I saw he liked my wife. Our fantasies continued for a month or two. I told her I didn't want her to have sex with anyone else. I don't want to see her with another man, but in fantasy, it's a little different, knowing that it won't happen. About a month later, Jamie came home and said that we had been invited to Jim's 30th birthday. His wife, Linda, stopped by and invited most of their office friends. It was supposed to be a Saturday, and they had a pool, so most people were going for a swim. Linda was also a nice woman. We didn't go out with them often. Mostly it was just corporate parties and the like. Linda was also a bit of a flirt and often made sexual innuendos. Like most of our friends, we just thought it was a joke. What I didn't know until much later was that Jim tried to hit on Jamie more than once. She never told me about this. She later said that she could always handle it herself. The party was good. A lot of alcohol was flowing. I drank too much. What I didn't know until then was that Jamie also drank too much. We were in swimsuits like most people. Jamie was wearing a nice two-piece swimsuit. I didn't think it was too revealing for a two-piece swimsuit, but she actually looked damn good in it. Throughout the night, I noticed that when I wasn't with Jamie, Jim was there. As I said, I found out later that he had been trying to pester her all evening. It was getting late, and the party was starting to fall apart. I was too drunk and went inside to sit on the couch for a few minutes and wait for Jamie. I didn't notice, but I dozed off. When I woke up, I was a little disoriented. The room was dark, but I heard voices from one of the bedrooms. I wondered where everyone had gone, especially Jamie. I got up and walked towards the bedroom, a little unsteady from the alcohol. My sweet, loving wife was there with Jim. I have to tell you, and I really mean it, this had to be the worst image I could imagine. All these stories that said I would like this are full of crap. My stomach started to twist. I was still pretty drunk, but I walked in and hit Jim. I started throwing up right there at the end of Jim's bed. I heard Jamie scream, "God, no, what have I done?" Many things happened at once. Linda ran into the bedroom, asking what the hell was going on. She drove some friends home and returned earlier than Jim expected. She looked at her husband and asked him what the hell he had done. It only took her a few seconds to realize what had happened. She went to the bathroom and gave me a towel. "Take your damn wife and get out of my house." Jamie was still crying and quickly put on her swimsuit. I told Linda how sorry I was, and she simply said, "Get that damn bitch out of my house. You can leave the damn towel." I left the room and Jamie wanted to say something to Linda, but she wasn't listening. We heard her screaming at her husband as we walked out the door. We got into the car and drove home. I couldn't say a word to her. She cried and tried to apologize all the way home. I didn't listen. My mind was in turmoil. When we got home, I went down to the basement and lay down on the bed we kept there. I told Jamie we'd talk in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I just lay there and tried to figure out what to do next. Jamie cheated, but I really have to question how much of this situation I created with my stupid fantasies. Is our marriage over? Will I be able to forgive her? Should I forgive her? What about our jobs, family, and friends? Now I understand the moral that the author wrote in his story. Cheating or affairs affect everything and everyone in our lives. What a hell of a fee for sex. I got up the next morning and cleaned myself up. I put the coffee on and waited for Jamie to wake up. I heard her cry most of the night, and I doubt she slept much either. I heard her go to the bathroom and my stomach started to churn. I was a bundle of nerves. When she came out of the bathroom, she poured herself a cup of coffee and sat down. It was hard to look at her. I knew I needed to start a conversation, so I asked her directly, "Why did you do that?" "It just happened. I was drunk, and it just happened. I love you, Jerry. I wish this didn't happen, but it did. We need to move on," Jamie replied. "Nonsense. It doesn't just happen. You could have stopped him at any moment. You did it voluntarily." She began to cry quietly. "He harassed me, and I drank a lot." "Bullshit, Jamie. I don't want excuses. I want answers. I want to know everything if we're going to stay married. I knew I had a real problem. I was the one who put all these ideas into her head. I knew that what she did was partly the result of me half preparing her for it. Now I have to wonder if I can live with the consequences of her cheating and my actions. I think that was the first time she realized that our marriage could be over, that I could leave. What? You're thinking of leaving me? Jerry, we can handle this, Jamie said. Then I need the truth. How long have you been dating him? That was the only time it went that far, Jamie replied. So you were with him before? How many more men? No, it wasn't like that. I've never made love to anyone but you. You have to believe me. This was the only time. Jim harassed me at work. You know, he suggested dates. He said a lot of sexy things. Was he the only one who did this? I asked. No, you know that. All our friends joke like that. It never meant anything. Guys often flirt with girls, but we just laugh about it. If I'm honest, I like being looked at. I like compliments as much as the next girl. I know you say these things to other women too. Does that mean you want to sleep with them? You've gone further than just talking. You slept with him. Now let's talk about it. Jamie held back tears as best she could as she explained what happened. We arrived at the party, and like I said, I drank too much. This is not an excuse, but it is a fact that alcohol reduces the inhibitions in people. Jim talked to me about sex all evening. Was he successful? I asked. Jamie lowered her head. Yes, but I thought it was just a joke. I started thinking about how we used him in our fantasies. I continued to drink, and you got drunk too. One day, when Jim came back into the water with me, we joked about sex. I laughed and told him about our sexual fantasy. What are you doing? Have you told him that you use his name in our lovemaking? How stupid can you be? Why did you tell him that? Again, I realized that I was the one who started it all. I simply reaped what I sowed. I knew I was blaming her when half the blame was mine. I guess I was trying to deny my guilt and face the truth. But still, I didn't think it was something she should have shared. It just came out. You disappeared, I looked around, but you were not there. Almost everyone had already left the party, and Linda told Jim that she would be back in about an hour. She took some people home. That's why she didn't drink that night. Jim proposed, but she said he drank too much. When she left, Jim started hitting on me again. We were left alone. You weren't there. I don't know why I did it, but I went into his bedroom and, well, you know the rest. I loved her. I really loved her. I loved my girls and thought about how this situation would affect our family. I looked at Jamie, and all I could see was her cheating. I knew Jamie was unfaithful, but how much did I contribute to it? It all started with something I probably put in her head. I guess I just didn't want to face the truth. I was the biggest part of the blame here. These stupid fantasies and stories. God, how stupid a person can be. How stupid was I? Now I had to deal with the consequences of our actions. I knew I needed time away from her. I had to figure it out in my mind. I created this situation and didn't know how to fix it. Jamie, I love you. I love you more than anything in the world, but it was tearing me apart inside. I do think that part of the blame lies with me because of the fantasies, but you made them come true. I have to go. Right now, I can't live in the same house as you. Jamie cried and kept saying how sorry she was. I packed my things. I called my parents and asked if I could come home for a while. I just told them that Jamie and I were having problems in our marriage, and I didn't want to stay in our house anymore. Jamie got dressed and went to pick up our girls. When she returned, I was no longer there. In the months that followed, I came home every day to see my daughters. It was hard to leave them and return to my temporary home. They were 4 and 5 years old. I wanted to be with them as much as possible. Jamie was always there asking when I was coming home. She always looked beautiful, and I missed her so much. The problem was that I couldn't cope with reality. I just couldn't let it go. We had a good relationship, except that we didn't live together. We maintained a good relationship, mostly for the sake of the children, but we still loved each other. Every weekend we went somewhere with the children, to parks, to the beach, to the zoo, to the cinema. We did it all as a family, but I went to a different house every evening. I cried a lot leaving my family. I knew I couldn't go on like this forever. I needed to do something. Before I tell you what I decided to do, I will try to update you on what happened after I left home. I moved, as I already mentioned, to my parents. Jamie's parents live about 60 miles away. All her friends were here. Most of her friends supported her. Of course, there were rumors, and they were partially true. After we left Jim and Linda's house, they started arguing. I guess this wasn't the first time Jim had cheated. Linda kicked him out and filed for divorce. Any mutual friends of Linda and Jamie supported Linda. The wives didn't want their husbands around Jamie. This group of people called her a family destroyer. She mostly hung out with Rachel and some of our mutual friends. She told me in our small conversations that she no longer jokes the way she used to. At work, Jim began aggressively flirting with her and also told several other agents how hot Jamie was and that she had ruined his marriage. She told me that she repeatedly told him to leave her alone. When he started calling her at home, she filed a harassment suit against him and two other agents. Things got so bad that she quit her job. Her lawyer said she had a good chance because she recorded reports of harassment after the first incident. She quit her job and now works with Rachel at one of the local department stores. I spoke to Rachel, and she told me that Jamie really loves me and admits that she made a huge mistake. She also said that Jamie was asked out several times, but she always refused. She hoped that one day I would be able to forgive her. I walked into the insurance company where Jim worked. I waited for him to leave the office and approached him. "What the hell do you want? Do you want another blow?" "I'm not drunk now. I'll only say this once. Leave Jamie alone. The next time you bother her, I will come and kill you. This is not a threat, it is a fact. You ruined my life, and it would be easy for me to go to jail for killing you." Jim realized I was serious. I think I was one of those people who, in certain moods, is best left alone. I told him completely honestly and even showed him my gun. He retreated, got into the car, and drove away. He didn't say a word and didn't bother Jamie anymore. I filed for divorce from our marriage immediately after the incident. I had until a certain date to change my mind. I was completely confused and even talked to a psychiatrist about my problems. Jamie was happy that I was seeing the doctor. She considered this the first step towards our reconciliation. I visited her 2 days before the divorce date. I asked her to talk, and she said she would take the girls to Rachel so we could talk in private. "Will you stop the dissolution of the marriage and come back to me and the girls? You know that I never stopped loving you, and I regret everything that happened. Nothing can be changed. Now it's all up to you. I don't want a divorce. I want you back, Jerry." She had tears in her eyes as she spoke. "Jamie, I'm going for a divorce. We need a new start." "No, I'm trying, Jerry. I don't want to lose you. Please, do not go." She was already sobbing out loud. "Please listen. I talked to the doctor, and I have an idea. Tell me what you think." "I don't understand. You just said you're divorcing me," Jamie replied. "I want us to start over. I want us to get a divorce and move to Ravenna, where your parents live. We can get married there again. I want us to write our own vows and both sign them and promise to keep them. I want to leave our past behind and start anew in a city where no one knows our history. I asked the factory, and they are transferring me there next week, if you want to go." "Of course I want to go. I am crazy in love with you. I will go anywhere as long as we can be a family again." Jamie was already crying heavily. "Do you want to make love now?" Jamie asked. "Rachel has the kids, and I want you so bad." "No, you will wait, just like me. We'll get married in 2 weeks if you want, and then we'll be together again," I replied. I needed to start over. We went to Rachel and Bob's to pick up the kids. When they saw us together, they ran up. Dad, you're back. Will you stay with us now? Why is Mom crying?" the children asked. "I'm happy, honey. Very soon we will be one family again. Now go play so Dad and I can talk to Rachel." So you're not getting a divorce? I knew you could work it out, Rachel said. Jamie looked at Rachel and said, "We're getting a divorce, Rachel." "No, no, you can't. You have to work things out," Rachel said. "Ratch," I said, "this will be hard to understand. I need to start over. I'm going for a divorce, but we'll get married again and start with a clean slate. Most people won't understand, but this is what I need to do. We're moving to Ravenna and starting over. You and Bob are our best friends. You can always come to us. It's only an hour's drive." "I think I understand," Rachel said. "Bob and I talked, and we decided that things were going too far for us too. I think we all learned a good lesson before it got too far for us." Bob looked at Jamie. "I can't touch that cute ass anymore. I think I'll miss it," he said, trying to add some humor to the conversation. "Seriously, guys, thank you for your support during this time. It meant a lot to us. What else are real friends for? We will always be there for you and the girls. Don't forget that visits work both ways. We'll be waiting for you to visit us when you're in town," Rachel noted. After we left Bob and Rachel's house, we explained everything to my parents. They didn't understand why we should get divorced and get married again, but they supported us. They were good parents. They said that they would miss the girls, but would try to visit them as often as possible. I never told them what caused Jamie and I to divorce. Did they know? Perhaps, but they never brought it up with me. They always told me they loved Jamie and hoped we could work things out. I had 2 weeks of vacation. I used them to find a place for us to live. I told Jamie I would go on Monday to see what I could find. "You're not going without me, big guy?" Jamie smiled. "We will all go together." I called my mom and told her about our plans. She didn't understand why we would get divorced and then get married again, but she's glad we're staying together. She said we belong together. Everyone says that, you know? I always knew it. We actually got married again. We wrote our own vows together and tried to stick to them. The local pastor agreed to marry us. Everything seemed so clean, so new. I remember Jamie telling me that she didn't understand why she would go through the whole marriage process when I suggested it, but now she felt it. It was like a new beginning. All our mistakes remained in our first marriage. This time we will try to avoid some pitfalls. Our new wedding night was one of the best nights of my life. Jamie and I spent the night at a local motel. There is nothing better than sex with the person you truly love. All this happened 2 years ago. We are as happy as a family of 5 can be. Ryan was the result of our overnight love on the night of our second wedding. For now, Jamie won't be working outside the home. She says she has her hands full with 3 children, 2 of whom are already in school. She also has family and friends nearby. Jamie received compensation in a harassment claim against agents and the insurance company. Of course, they wanted to settle the case out of court and did not want any publicity that could harm their business. Each of the 3 agents had to pay her $5,000. The company paid her an additional $50,000. She put the money in a savings account for the future. The account is in our common name. I'm happy too. Most people who heard that we got divorced and remarried thought it was strange, but Jamie and I know it was the right decision. Now we discuss our problems and solve them together. For those wondering, we still have sexual fantasies. We understand the difference between fantasy and reality. I still occasionally read stories, as many authors know. If the husbands are wimps or the wives are complete cheaters, I still leave my comments. I read a story where a husband set up his wife to have sex with men. I had to ask myself, could this man really love his wife? Here's my comment. Anonymous. Another original story about a man doing nothing while his wife sleeps with another man. Not to mention forgiving her and setting it up. I swear the only men like this should be the ones who write stories about it. You're sick, boy, get help. I read another story about a man and woman who wanted to make their fantasy come true. He wanted to see his wife have sex with another man. They thought it would spice up their marriage. The story told how they made it happen, and his wife told him how wonderful it was and what a great husband he was for allowing her to do it. I was about to write a comment when Jamie walked into the room. What are you reading? I see you are going to comment again. Can I read it? She sat down and read a short story. She shook her head from side to side. What stupid people. People reading this don't understand the problems this can cause. I'll leave a comment. Anonymous. For those who are reading this story, fantasies should remain just that, fantasies. Never let these thoughts enter your real life. I know I almost lost my family over this. Find new ways to make love that you both enjoy. Don't be afraid to try something new with your husband. You'll be glad you did. Signed, a very happy housewife. Many times Jamie and I read stories together. We read one story written by Jake Rivers called Fading Embers. After we read it, Jamie was fired up with a new idea. Jerry, instead of just reading these stories, we should write something, or at least try. We know all the problems associated with wrong actions, so let's write about the good, about the romance that love and good communication can bring. Let's start by telling our own story so that people know the truth about fantasy and reality. Let's do it, Jerry. We'll need a username to post stories. How about Maja for Jerry and Jamie forever? And when we leave comments, we won't have to use that stupid anonymous name anymore. We did exactly what Jamie suggested. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think, click to the next one. Click to the next one.